The morning light filtered softly through the curtains, casting a gentle glow across our bedroom. I, Peter, lay there in a state of half-wakefulness, savoring the last few moments of quiet before the day began. But as my eyes adjusted to the dim light, something on Maria's side of the bed caught my attention. A stack of papers peeked out from her nightstand drawer, papers that hadn't been there before. Curious and with a growing sense of unease, I reached over and pulled them out. What I found made my blood run cold. Among the mundane bills and receipts were several pages of text messages and emails, all meticulously printed out and highlighted. They were conversations between Maria and an unknown man, full of intimate exchanges and plans that shattered the illusion of our happy marriage. My heart pounded as I read through them, the words blurring together in a haze of betrayal and anger. It wasn't just the affair that shocked me. As I dug deeper into the stack, I found documents that suggested something far more sinister. There were financial statements, legal papers, and even a draft of a false accusation against me, detailing supposed illegal activities I had never even considered. It was a comprehensive plan to not only leave me, but to ruin me in the process. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. How long had this been going on? How could I have been so blind? Maria and I had been married for 8 years, and though we had our ups and downs, I never suspected she was capable of something like this. I sat there in stunned silence, the reality of my situation sinking in. Determined to understand the full extent of Maria's betrayal, I began a more thorough search. I rifled through her nightstand, her closet, and even her laptop, looking for anything that might give me more answers. Each new piece of evidence I found painted an increasingly damning picture. There were records of secret bank accounts, payments to private investigators, and detailed notes on my daily routines and habits. It was clear that Maria had been planning this for a long time. The more I uncovered, the more I realized that I needed to keep my discovery a secret until I could figure out my next move. I couldn't confront Maria yet. I needed to be smart about this. I needed to protect myself and gather enough evidence to prove my innocence and expose her treachery. So I carefully put everything back where I found it, making sure not to leave any trace of my search. Over the next few days, I went about my daily life as if nothing had changed. I went to work, came home, and acted as if I was still blissfully unaware of Maria's deceit. It was a struggle to keep up the charade, especially when Maria was around, but I knew it was necessary. I couldn't afford to tip her off and risk her accelerating her plans. In the evenings, when Maria was out or asleep, I continued my investigation. I backed up the incriminating emails and messages to a secure location, took photos of the documents with my phone, and started piecing together the full scope of her scheme. It became clear that Maria's lover was not just some random fling, he was a key part of the plot against me. The two of them had concocted a detailed plan to frame me for embezzlement, fraud, and other crimes, all to ensure that I would be out of the picture and they could walk away with a substantial financial gain. I needed help, someone I could trust to help me navigate this nightmare. I reached out to my old friend David, a lawyer who had always been there for me through thick and thin. We arranged to meet at a quiet, out-of-the-way cafe where we could talk without fear of being overheard. David listened in stunned silence as I laid out everything I had discovered. When I finished, he shook his head in disbelief. "Peter, this is unbelievable. I never would have thought Maria capable of something like this." "Neither did I replied, my voice tinged with bitterness. "But here we are. I need your help, David. I need to prove my innocence and stop her from ruining my life." David nodded, his expression determined. "We'll get through this, Peter. We'll gather all the evidence we need and make sure Maria and her accomplice pay for what they've done. But you need to be careful. If they suspect that you know, they might accelerate their plans." "I know," I said, feeling a renewed sense of resolve. "That's why I haven't confronted her yet. I need to be smart about this." Over the next few weeks, David and I worked together to build our case. We gathered more evidence, consulted with experts, and laid the groundwork for the legal battle that was sure to come. It was exhausting and emotionally draining, but I knew it was the only way to protect myself and bring Maria to justice. Throughout it all, I maintained the facade of a loving, unsuspecting husband. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, pretending to be oblivious to Maria's betrayal while knowing the depths of her deceit. There were moments when I wanted to scream at her, confront her, and demand answers, but I knew I had to wait until the time was right. One evening, As I was going through some papers in my home office, Maria came in, a smile plastered on her face. "Hey, honey, how's your day been?" "Fine," I replied, forcing a smile of my own. "Just catching up on some work." She nodded, her eyes lingering on me for a moment longer than usual. "You've seemed a bit stressed lately. Is everything okay?" "Just a lot on my plate," I said, keeping my tone casual. "Nothing I can't handle." "Good," she said, leaning in to kiss me on the cheek. "Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." As she left the room, I felt a surge of anger and frustration. How could she act so normal, so caring when she was plotting to destroy me? But I reminded myself to stay calm and focused. The time for confrontation would come, and when it did, I would be ready. The turning point came when I discovered a critical piece of evidence that would prove my innocence and expose Maria's plan. Hidden among her files was a recording of a conversation between Maria and her lover, detailing their entire scheme. It was the smoking gun I needed, the final piece of the puzzle that would ensure their downfall. With the recording in hand, I contacted David and arranged a meeting with the authorities. We presented all the evidence we had gathered, and they agreed to launch an investigation. It was a huge relief to know that the truth was finally coming to light, but I knew there was still a long road ahead. In the days that followed, the investigation moved quickly. Maria and her lover were placed under surveillance, and it wasn't long before they made a critical mistake. They met in a public place, discussing their plans, and unknowingly providing the authorities with all the evidence they needed to make their case. The day of the confrontation arrived. I had arranged to meet Maria at home, knowing that the authorities were ready to move in and make the arrests. My heart raced as I waited for her to arrive, the weight of everything we had been through pressing down on me. When Maria walked through the door, she looked at me with a mix of confusion and suspicion. "Peter, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Maria," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "We need to talk." She frowned, taking a step closer. "About what?" "About your affair," I said, watching as her eyes widened in shock. "And about your plan to frame me." For a moment she was speechless, then her expression hardened. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do," I replied, pulling out the recording and playing it for her. As the damning words filled the room, her face turned pale. "I've known for a while, Maria, and now, so do the authorities." Just as the final words of the recording played, the door burst open and the police entered, arresting Maria and her lover. I watched as they were led away in handcuffs, a mix of relief and sadness washing over me. The woman I had loved and trusted had tried to destroy me, but in the end, her own actions had sealed her fate. As the dust settled and the legal proceedings began, I focused on rebuilding my life. With David's help, I cleared my name and ensured that Maria and her lover faced the full consequences of their actions. It was a long and painful process, but I emerged stronger and more resilient, determined to move forward and find happiness again. The experience had changed me in profound ways. I learned the importance of trust, the strength of resilience, and the value of true friendship. As I stood on the threshold of a new chapter in my life, I knew that I was ready to face whatever the future held, with a renewed sense of hope and determination. And so, with the past behind me and the promise of a brighter future ahead, I took the first steps towards a new beginning, ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. The aftermath of Maria's arrest left me in a state of emotional turmoil. Seeing her led away in handcuffs was a surreal and painful experience, yet it was also a necessary step toward justice and closure. With David by my side, we navigated the legal proceedings and focused on reclaiming my life from the wreckage of betrayal. As news of Maria's arrest spread, friends and acquaintances reached out with a mix of shock and sympathy. Many had known us as a seemingly happy couple, and the revelation of Maria's betrayal and attempt to frame me came as a shock to everyone. I found myself grappling with questions from well-meaning friends and colleagues, trying to piece together how it all went so wrong. David became my rock during those turbulent days. He not only provided legal counsel, but also offered unwavering support and a listening ear. Together, we meticulously prepared for the upcoming legal battle, gathering additional evidence and preparing witnesses who could testify to Maria's deceitful actions. One evening, as I sat alone in my study, sorting through old photographs of Maria and me, I came across a letter tucked away in a forgotten drawer. It was a letter Maria had written to me years ago, professing her love and commitment. Reading her words now felt like a cruel irony, a stark reminder of how much had changed. The letter stirred a mix of emotions within me: sadness, anger, and a lingering sense of betrayal. How could someone who once loved me so deeply turn against me in such a calculated manner? The answers eluded me, buried beneath layers of deceit and manipulation that I was still unraveling. The days blurred into weeks as the legal proceedings progressed. Maria and her accomplice were indicted on multiple charges, including conspiracy, fraud, and attempted defamation. The evidence against them was overwhelming, thanks to the meticulous groundwork David and I had laid in the weeks following my discovery. During this time, I focused on rebuilding my life. I moved out of our shared home, opting for a smaller apartment where I could find solace and begin the process of healing. The separation was painful, each corner of the empty rooms a reminder of what had been lost. Yet it was also liberating, a chance to reclaim my space and my sense of self. As the trial date approached, I found myself consumed by a mix of anticipation and dread. The courtroom became a battleground where truth and lies would clash and justice would hopefully prevail. I attended every pretrial meeting with David, reviewing strategies and preparing myself to face Maria and her defense team in court. The day of the trial arrived with a solemn weight, the courtroom buzzing with anticipation. I sat at the plaintiff's table, flanked by David and a team of legal experts who had meticulously prepared our case. Across from us sat Maria and her defense team, their expressions a mix of defiance and anxiety. The trial unfolded over several intense days of witness testimonies, cross-examinations, and compelling arguments from both sides. David presented our evidence with precision and clarity, weaving a narrative that exposed Maria's motives and actions. Each piece of evidence, emails, financial records, witness statements, painted a damning picture of her betrayal and attempted frame-up. Maria's defense attempted to discredit our evidence and portray her as a victim of circumstance, but their arguments fell flat in the face of overwhelming proof. Throughout the trial, Maria avoided making eye contact with me, her facade of innocence crumbling under the weight of truth. On the final day of the trial, as closing arguments were delivered, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. The truth had been laid bare for all to see, and I knew that justice would soon be served. The jury deliberated for hours before delivering their verdict, guilty on all counts. Maria and her accomplice were sentenced to significant prison terms, a fitting consequence for their betrayal and attempt to destroy my life. As I left the courtroom that day, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Justice had been served, but the scars of betrayal would linger. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life and moving forward. With David's help, I filed for divorce and finalized the dissolution of our marriage. I surrounded myself with supportive friends and family who helped me navigate the emotional aftermath of the trial. Slowly but surely, I began to heal. I found solace in work, hobbies, and reconnecting with old passions that had been overshadowed by the turmoil of my marriage. The experience changed me profoundly, teaching me valuable lessons about trust, resilience, and the strength of the human spirit. As I reflected on the journey from betrayal to redemption, I knew that I had emerged stronger and wiser. The scars of Maria's deceit will always be a part of my story, but they no longer define me. I had reclaimed my life, forged a new path forward, and embraced the possibility of a brighter future. The road ahead was uncertain, but I faced it with renewed hope and a deep appreciation for the second chance life had given me. As I looked toward the horizon, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, I was ready to face them head-on, armed with the lessons of the past and a resilient spirit that refused to be broken. After the trial and the conclusion of legal proceedings, I found myself standing at a crossroads in life, grappling with the aftermath of betrayal while navigating the path to healing and rebuilding. With Maria and her accomplice behind bars, the immediate threat had been neutralized, but the emotional wounds they left behind continued to haunt me. I moved forward with a deliberate focus on rebuilding my life. The first step was to establish a new sense of normalcy, starting with my living arrangements. I settled into my apartment, transforming it into a sanctuary where I could find peace amidst the echoes of the past. Each piece of furniture and each decoration was carefully chosen to reflect my newfound independence and resilience. Work became my refuge, a place where I could immerse myself in tasks and projects, channeling my energy into productive endeavors. I threw myself into my career, taking on new challenges and responsibilities that allowed me to grow professionally and personally. It was a welcome distraction from the tumultuous emotions that still lingered beneath the surface. Despite the support of friends and family, there were moments of profound loneliness. The void left by Maria's betrayal was palpable, a constant reminder of the shattered dreams and lost trust. I sought solace in therapy, where I could openly explore my feelings of grief, anger, and confusion. Through counseling, I gained clarity and perspective, learned to forgive myself for trusting Maria, and focused on my own healing journey. One evening, while sorting through old photographs tucked away in a forgotten drawer, I stumbled upon a picture from happier times, a snapshot of Maria and me on vacation, smiling and carefree. For a fleeting moment, nostalgia washed over me, tinged with sadness for what had been lost. But then, a wave of determination swept through me. I refused to let the past define my future. With David's guidance, I began the process of reclaiming my identity and rebuilding my social circle. I reconnected with old friends and colleagues, forging new bonds and strengthening existing relationships. Their unwavering support became a source of strength, reminding me that I was not alone in my journey toward healing. As time passed, I gradually embraced new opportunities for personal growth and self-discovery. I enrolled in cooking classes, rediscovered my love for painting, and even took up jogging, a physical and mental release that helped me regain a sense of control over my life. Each new experience brought a renewed sense of purpose and joy, gradually filling the void left by Maria's betrayal. Navigating the dating scene proved to be a daunting challenge, one fraught with uncertainty and vulnerability. I approached each potential relationship with caution, mindful of the lessons learned from my past experiences. It was a journey of self-discovery, as I learned to trust again and open my heart to the possibility of love. Through it all, David remained a steadfast pillar of support and guidance. His unwavering belief in my resilience and strength gave me the courage to confront my fears and embrace the future with optimism. Together, we celebrated each milestone in triumph, marking my progress toward healing and personal growth. One sunny afternoon, as I sat in a quaint cafe sipping coffee, I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this moment. The scars of Maria's betrayal had faded, replaced by a newfound sense of empowerment and resilience. I had emerged from the darkness stronger and more resilient than ever before, ready to embrace the boundless possibilities that lay ahead. The road to healing had been long and arduous, marked by moments of pain and self-doubt. Yet through perseverance and self-discovery, I discovered the power of forgiveness and the resilience of the human spirit. Maria's betrayal had been a catalyst for profound personal growth, teaching me invaluable lessons about trust, resilience, and the importance of self-love. As I looked toward the future with renewed hope and optimism, I knew that I had emerged from the shadows of betrayal with a newfound sense of purpose and clarity. The scars of the past had healed, leaving behind a stronger, wiser version of myself, a testament to the transformative power of resilience and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The weeks turned into months, and with each passing day, I felt a gradual sense of peace settling over me. Yet beneath the surface, there remained unresolved questions and a lingering need for closure. Despite the legal proceedings and the steps I had taken to rebuild my life, I knew that confronting Maria directly was a necessary part of moving forward. One evening, after much deliberation, I decided it was time to face Maria. I arranged to meet her at a neutral location, a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. As I waited nervously at our agreed-upon table, I rehearsed in my mind what I wanted to say, knowing that this conversation would be pivotal in my journey toward healing. When Maria walked in, she looked different, older, wearier, the weight of her actions etched into her features. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment we sat in silence, the air heavy with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. "Peter," she finally spoke, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I needed to talk to you," I replied, my tone measured. "There are things that need to be said." She nodded, her gaze dropping to the table. "I understand." The waitress approached, and we ordered coffee in awkward silence. When she left, I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. I've spent a lot of time trying to understand why, I began, my voice steady. Why you did do what you did. Why did you betray me? Maria looked up, her expression a mix of guilt and regret. I don't expect you to forgive me, Peter. What I did was unforgivable. I nodded slowly, absorbing her words. You're right, it was unforgivable. But I need to hear it from you. Why? Why did you do it? She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. I was unhappy, Peter. I felt trapped, suffocated by our life together. I thought I could find happiness elsewhere. And the plan to frame me? I pressed, my voice tinged with anger. To destroy everything we built together? Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as she looked at me, her voice barely a whisper. I was desperate, Peter. I didn't know how else to get out. I convinced myself that if I could make you look guilty, I could finally be free. Her words hit me like a physical blow, the pain of betrayal resurfacing with renewed intensity. You were willing to destroy my life to save your own, I said, my voice thick with emotion. I know, Maria replied, tears streaming down her cheeks, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our words hanging heavily between us. Despite the anger and hurt, a part of me felt a flicker of sympathy for the woman sitting across from me, a woman who had once been my wife, my partner in life. Why did you agree to meet me? Maria asked softly, breaking the silence. I needed closure, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. I needed to hear your side of the story, to understand. Maria nodded, wiping away her tears with a trembling hand. I'm sorry, Peter. I'm so sorry for everything. I sighed heavily, the weight of years of pain and betrayal settling over me. I don't think I'll ever fully understand why you did what you did, but I do know that I can't carry this anger and resentment forever. I need to let go. Maria reached across the table tentatively, her hand hovering over mine. I understand if you can't forgive me, but I hope someday you can find it in your heart to move on. I looked at her hand, then into her eyes that still held traces of the woman I had once loved. Slowly, I nodded, letting her touch mine briefly before pulling away. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you, I admitted quietly, but I won't let your betrayal define me anymore. I deserve better than that. Maria nodded, her gaze dropping once more. You do, Peter. You deserve happiness. With that, we lapsed into a silence that felt less heavy, less fraught with pain. The wounds Maria had inflicted were deep and may never fully heal, but in that moment, I felt a small sense of closure, a step toward freeing myself from the chains of betrayal. As we parted ways that evening, I knew that this conversation had been necessary, a painful yet crucial step in my journey toward healing. Maria had shattered my trust and broken my heart, but I refused to let her actions define my future any longer. Walking away from the cafe, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, a burden of anger and resentment that had weighed me down for too long. The road ahead remained uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope, a belief that I could reclaim my life and find happiness once more. The aftermath of my conversation with Maria left me with a tumultuous mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a lingering sense of closure. As I navigated the days that followed, I found solace in the routines I had established and the support of friends who stood by me through it all. One evening, as I sat at my desk in the dim glow of the lamp, sorting through paperwork from the divorce proceedings, a knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. Surprised, I glanced at the clock. It was late, and unexpected visitors were a rarity. I crossed the room and opened the door to find Sarah, an old friend from college, standing on my doorstep. Her presence was a welcome distraction from the memories that had haunted me since my divorce from Maria. Sarah, what a surprise, I greeted her with a warm smile, stepping aside to let her in. Hey, Peter, she replied, her voice filled with concern as she glanced around my modest apartment. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by. How are you holding up? I shrugged, a mix of emotions swirling within me. Taking it one day at a time, you know. It's been a journey. Sarah nodded sympathetically, taking a seat on the couch. I can't imagine what you've been through. It must have been incredibly tough. You have no idea, I admitted, sinking into the armchair opposite her. But I'm getting there, slowly but surely. Sarah studied me for a moment, her eyes filled with understanding. Listen, Peter, I know it's been rough, but I want you to know that we're all here for you. You don't have to go through this alone. Her words touched a chord within me, a reminder of the support system that had sustained me through the darkest moments of my life. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that more than you know. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out a small package, placing it gently on the coffee table. I brought you something, she said softly, her gaze meeting mine. Just a little something to lift your spirits. Curious, I picked up the package and carefully unwrapped it to reveal a book, a collection of inspirational quotes and stories of resilience. A wave of gratitude washed over me as I flipped through the pages, absorbing the messages of hope and perseverance. This is thoughtful, Sarah, I said sincerely, looking up at her. Thank you. She smiled warmly. You're welcome, Peter. Sometimes a little inspiration can go a long way. As we continued to chat, Sarah shared updates about our mutual friends and anecdotes from her own life. Her easygoing demeanor and genuine concern helped me relax, allowing the weight of my troubles to momentarily lift. Before long, Sarah glanced at her watch and sighed. I hate to cut this short, but I should probably head home. It's getting late. I nodded, rising to walk her to the door. Thank you for stopping by, Sarah. It means a lot to me. She hugged me tightly before stepping out into the hallway. Anytime, Peter. And remember, if you ever need to talk or just hang out, I'm just a phone call away. With a final wave, Sarah disappeared down the corridor, leaving me standing alone in the dimly lit hallway. As I closed the door behind her, a sense of gratitude filled my heart, a reminder that amidst the pain and turmoil, there were people who cared. In the days that followed Sarah's visit, I found myself gradually embracing new opportunities for healing and personal growth. I joined a support group for survivors of betrayal and attended therapy sessions where I could openly explore my feelings and fears. Each step forward was a testament to my resilience and determination to reclaim my life. One afternoon, while browsing through a local bookstore, a title caught my eye, a memoir by a best-selling author who had overcome adversity and rebuilt her life from the ashes of betrayal. Intrigued, I purchased the book and spent the weekend immersed in its pages, finding solace in the author's journey of redemption and self-discovery. Inspired by her story, I began writing, a cathartic process that allowed me to express my emotions and reflect on my own experiences. The words flowed freely as I poured my heart into each sentence, capturing the pain of betrayal and the hope for a brighter future. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself reconnecting with old passions and exploring new interests that had long been overshadowed by the turmoil of my marriage. I took up hiking, rediscovered my love for photography, and even enrolled in a cooking class, a culinary adventure that brought joy and fulfillment to my days. Through it all, David remained a steadfast presence in my life, a mentor, confidant, and friend who had guided me through the darkest moments of my journey. His unwavering belief in my resilience and strength gave me the courage to confront my fears and embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. One evening, as I sat on the balcony of my apartment, watching the sunset over the city skyline, a sense of peace washed over me. The scars of Maria's betrayal had faded, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose and clarity. I had emerged from the wreckage of my past stronger and more resilient than ever before. The road ahead remained uncertain, but I faced it with renewed hope and optimism. I learned valuable lessons about trust, forgiveness, and the resilience of the human spirit. Maria's betrayal had been a catalyst for profound personal growth, a journey that had led me to discover the true strength that lay within me. As I looked toward the future with a sense of anticipation, I knew that I was no longer defined by the pain of my past. I had reclaimed my life, embraced the power of forgiveness, and found the courage to open my heart to the possibility of love once more. The scars of Maria's betrayal will always be a part of my story, but they no longer hold power over me. I had found peace within myself, a peace that had been hard-earned and was now cherished. As I watched the city lights twinkling in the twilight, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought me to this moment. The road to healing had been long and arduous, but it had led me to a place of newfound strength and resilience, a place where I was ready to embrace whatever the future held. With a smile, I whispered a silent thank you to Sarah, to David, and to all those who had stood by me through the storm. Their unwavering support had been my anchor, guiding me through the darkest days and leading me toward a brighter tomorrow. As I turned back to the warmth of my apartment, I knew that the journey was far from over. But with each new day, I would continue to grow, to heal, and to embrace the limitless possibilities that awaited me. And in that moment, surrounded by the quiet beauty of the evening, I knew that I was finally free. Standing on the threshold of a new dawn, I took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever the future held. The scars of Maria's betrayal had faded, replaced by a deep-seated resilience and a renewed sense of purpose. The book launch party had been a resounding success, a testament to the journey of healing and redemption that had brought me to this moment. Surrounded by friends, supporters, and newfound admirers, I felt a sense of fulfillment, unlike anything I had experienced before. As the night wore on, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had led me here, a journey of pain, betrayal, and ultimately, redemption. I had faced the darkest moments of my life head-on, emerging stronger and more resilient than I had ever thought possible. Sarah stood by my side throughout the evening, her presence a source of comfort and strength. We shared stories and laughter, celebrating not just the success of the book, but the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. "Peter, I'm so proud of you," Sarah said again, her voice filled with genuine admiration. "Your story has touched so many lives tonight." I smiled warmly at her, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for her unwavering support. "Thank you, Sarah. I couldn't have done it without you." We toasted to new beginnings and the limitless possibilities that lay ahead, our glasses clinking in celebration. The weight of the past felt lighter than ever before, overshadowed by the promise of a future filled with hope and opportunity. As the evening drew to a close, I stood on the balcony of the venue, gazing out at the city skyline illuminated against the night sky. A sense of peace settled over me, a quiet assurance that I had finally found my place in the world. The road ahead remained uncertain, but I faced it with renewed determination and a profound sense of gratitude. The scars of Maria's betrayal will always be a part of my story, but they no longer define me. With a smile, I whispered a silent thank you to the universe for the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the blessings that had come my way. Each challenge had been a stepping stone toward a brighter future, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In the days that followed, I continued to receive messages from readers who had been moved by my story, individuals who had found solace and inspiration in the pages of my book. Their words reaffirmed my belief in the power of storytelling and the capacity of the human heart to heal. Sarah and I spent more time together, reconnecting over shared interests and forging a deeper bond born from adversity. Our friendship blossomed into something more, a partnership built on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. One evening, as we sat together in her cozy living room, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Peter, I've been thinking," she began, her voice tinged with sincerity, "about how far you've come and everything you've overcome." I nodded, a flicker of curiosity sparking in my chest. "What is it, Sarah?" She took a deep breath, meeting my gaze with unwavering intensity. "I've realized that life is too short to dwell on the past. We've both been through so much, and yet here we are, stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the future." Her words resonated deeply within me, stirring a sense of anticipation for what lay ahead. "Sarah, I started, searching for the right words. Before I could continue, Sarah leaned forward and gently placed her hand on mine. "Peter, I care about you deeply," she confessed softly, "and I want to explore where this journey might lead us." The weight of her words hung in the air, enveloping us in a moment of profound clarity. I looked into Sarah's eyes, seeing a reflection of my own hopes and dreams for the future. "I care about you too, Sarah," I replied honestly, my voice steady. "More than I can say." With a shared smile, we leaned in closer, bridging the gap between friendship and something deeper, a connection forged from shared experiences and a mutual desire for happiness. As we embraced, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a quiet certainty that I had found not only closure from the past, but also the promise of a future filled with love and possibility. The following weeks were a whirlwind of excitement and new beginnings. Sarah and I navigated the transition from friends to partners with ease, discovering a shared passion for travel, adventure, and quiet moments spent together. One crisp autumn afternoon, We found ourselves hiking along a picturesque trail, the vibrant hues of fall painting the landscape around us. The air was crisp with the promise of change, mirroring the transformation within our hearts. "Sarah," I began, my voice filled with a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. "There's something I've been meaning to ask you." She turned to me, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What is it, Peter?" Taking a deep breath, I reached into my pocket and retrieved a small velvet box. Opening it slowly, I revealed a delicate ring nestled within, a symbol of love and commitment. "Sarah, will you marry me?" I asked, my heart racing with hope. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she looked at the ring, then back at me with a radiant smile. "Yes, Peter," she replied softly, her voice filled with joy. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." In that magical moment, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the warmth of our love, I knew that I had found my soulmate, a partner to share life's joys and challenges and to walk hand in hand into the future. As we embraced, the world seemed to stand still, cocooned in the timeless embrace of love. The scars of Maria's betrayal had faded into insignificance, overshadowed by the boundless possibilities of a future filled with love, forgiveness, and the enduring power of hope. And as we continued our journey together, I carried with me the profound lessons learned from adversity, embracing them as stepping stones towards growth and understanding. Each challenge navigated and each hurdle overcome became a testament to the unwavering resilience of the human spirit and the transformative healing power of love that guided us forward into an uncertain yet promising future.